All right. Well, yeah, thank you. Welcome. This is the Beta ABC. Beta ABC. I'm supposed to do the joke right. My name is Jared Evans Sampson. I'm the festival director, and we are so pleased to have Mirion Malle here today talking to us. Uh, would you like to talk a bit about the book before as we begin?
Yeah, so this is a comic book that was first released in France in January 2020, so just before the pandemic, and it was since that released in Quebec in August 2020, and just now in North America in English. So I'm very very happy with that because I kind of always wanted to be translated, of course, and I always wanted to be published at Drone and Quarterly, so I'm very happy with that. And so this is a story about depression, but not depression in general. I didn't want to do like it was, one always the same thing for everyone. It's very from a very specific point of view, which is the one of the main character, who is named Clara, and she is going through a major depressive episode. I think that's in French. That's a literal translation from French. I don't know if it's the same in English,
Oh, it
but
works. Yeah.
it's like an episode where because depression is not linear. It's not like, oh, you're good, then you're bad, then you're good again, or you're dead. Because it's most of the time that's what we see in the media. Like either it's like, oh, this person is in depression and she or he or they are suicidal and they kill themselves or they try to, or it's like, oh, this person is in depression and they one day they are like, oh, I have enough, and they wake up and they are like, I'm going to go on a walk and take a shower and I'm cured. And that's not like that, and I wanted to give a more day-to-day I don't know how to say that, not a vision, but it's a story, and I wanted to tell this story of a woman living with this depression. Sorry. So we had so, and I also wanted to tell. I don't know how to say that, but I wanted to show that depression is not like, oh, something happened and then you're in depression and then you're cured or not. It's like something that builds with time, and you can be fine just after the traumatic event, for example, and then it builds slowly over the year and over the hard stuff that you live. And so so that's it, because she doesn't have a very exciting life at the moment of the book, because she's working a day job that she doesn't like that much. She's trying to write a new poetry book, but she doesn't really succeed because she doesn't have a lot of inspiration, and her social circles, they don't really understand her, even if they tried. I didn't want to do like good people, bad people. They just try because it's hard because there is a lot of stigma around depression. And yeah, so I just wanted to tell her story, and I hope I succeeded to, I don't know how to say that. I'm more clever in French, but it's um I wanted it to be like kind of a not sweet but tender story of someone who is not doing well. And yeah, I wanted to put a lot of, I think tenderness is a word, in the way I'm telling this story. So I don't know if it's a good synopsis. I'm not that good at, like at concise ideas.
Yeah.
Not in French, not in English, probably not in Spanish either. So.
Well, I think that does. I mean, having read the book, that I think does come through. This depiction of depression is really unique in that it shows that it occurs as part of life, and you see Clara is still working and like doing her job and has like successes in that. It's still at parties and with friends and things that people do in life that often is like, well, how could someone be depressed if they're doing these things, which you also talk about a bit in the book.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, it's such a great depiction of depression existing in life, like how someone lives with it. And yeah, that it isn't, yeah, as you say, just like you're down and then you're better, and that it's sort of an ongoing thing, and that it keeps in your life for a long time, even if you're functioning.
Yeah. The one of the At first it was like a zine. I did it for Exposine, which is like a
Mm.
small press convention in Montreal. And the idea came to me because I was talking with one of my friends, and we were talking about like, oh, you know, depression is like, I don't know, like a very heavy subject when you talk with people who are not depressed, and that you can find some, not happiness, but like relief. I don't know, like, you know, comfort in talking to other people that are going through that, because they know that you're not going to kill yourself just after saying that you're not doing well. But most of the people, you know, they are very alarmed, or they just don't want to see it. And it was because in Quebec TV, a young singer, he said that I think sometimes he wanted to, you know, put himself in fire. I don't know how to say that, like, and the people on the TV show are like, oh, but no, don't say that, don't say that, you're pretty, you're good, you have your life in front of you. And it was like the conversation didn't happen. And so yeah, so that was kind of, we were talking about that, and I was like, oh, I think I want to do a story about it, sorry. And I really wanted, it was very important to me that it wasn't like, you know, good people, bad people. Even, for example, her boss is like a classic boss, you know, he's like, he doesn't like give her all the credit that she deserves. He, you know, he sometimes he asks her to do tasks that like very urgently, but it's not urgent. But you know, also he sometimes he congratulates her, and it's just a job, you know, it's not a good job, but it's not, you know, the reason of her depression. Or her friends, they are like, some of them doesn't understand, but you know, they are not like, oh, shut up, get better. They're just like, we don't understand you, and she doesn't have the energy to like explain to them. And yeah, so I don't know, in French it's manichéen, I don't know how to say that in English, but you know, it's not all good or white, all good or bad, sorry.
Yeah, I think the one of the things that stuck out for me, you're talking about depression, you know, people who suffer from it understand, or how they talk differently. And there's such a nice parallel in the book where at the beginning, Clara is comforting the girl at the party who has the panic attack after receiving these harassing texts from a guy that she got on a date with. And the way that she interacts with her, even being like making sure, you know, asking for permission to touch her and things like that, is then so starkly contrasted at the end of the book with her friend, when she has her own episode where her friend doesn't go through the same steps. And especially because the one is, you know, her with at that point a stranger, and she still knows the language of what she needs to do just inherently, versus someone so close to her not being able to understand, you know, initially, you know, how to approach her, how to deal with it. I thought that was like so striking and so wonderful, and such a nice parallel in the book.
Yeah, so because you know, that's the thing that you to know, because of the stigma and all the fact that we just don't talk about that. The only people that are really capable to help you, not like psychiatrists or therapists, because of course that's very important, but you know, in day-to-day life, and there are people that are going through this, but also they don't have, you know, all the energy, and they cannot take care, because most of the time they cannot take care of themselves. So that was, yeah. But you know, yeah, so thank you for noticing that.
I wanted also to ask you about the approach to the art in the book. I mean, I love the art, and it's amazing. And part of, again, how it works with it is so much like, there's so much like energy and almost like comedy at times, and like how it comes through and depicted. And I really like, there seems to almost be times when it's simplified, or then, you know, detail comes in more and it sort of works with the story. And I was just wondering, that's sort of like a leading statement, more just what was your approach to when you decided to tell the story? Did you have a style in mind for it, or did it develop along with it? Or like, what was your approach to doing the art for This Side of Disappear?
First of all, thank you for this question and for these comments, because you know, that's funny, because in France I'm like the comic book artist that doesn't know how to draw, because my first book was like, I began my career with didactical book about like sociology and feminist questions. Mm-hmm. And I chose to do an art style very like, you know, kind of funny and expressive. And so people were like, oh, she doesn't know how to draw. So for my first book, no, I'm like, oh, I hate the drawings, but I think I was doing what I wanted to do at this time, because my inspiration is very much indie comic books and also manga, but like so well. And so that's funny because I'm even with this book, a lot of critics are like, "Oh, it's a minimalist art style. That's so bad," or "Oh, it's in black and white. I don't really like that," or even when it was nice, it was like, "Oh, actually, she knows how to draw. She knows how to draw." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not like the best artist I know. Of course, I don't like my art because I'm very, difficult. I don't know say no, but I'm very well, I'm hard on myself, but yeah, so that's very nice. Like all the critics I have got in North America, even in Quebec, they are like so much more nice to me with my style, because the thing is, I really thought about my art style when I was doing, didactical comic book, and when I'm doing illustration, and when I'm doing illustration for, adults or for like teen, and when I'm doing this kind of book, and so thank you very much, because yeah, I love comics, and I really, one part that I love is thinking about the form. I like the and so I was, one thing that was very important to me was the expression. So I came back to my first inspiration, which was shoujo manga. And I reread like Nana and Gals, which are two of my favorite. And yeah, and I'm always blown away by the expression, and I think that's something that really stuck with me. I began to read like those books when I was 10 years old, and the expression, the chibi manga thing with like the big head, it was something very, of course, that you remember, and it was something that I really tried to do, like doing like even if it's not realistic, sometimes I have smiley face because I wanted to, the kind of uneasy smile that a smiley have, like, and I really try to do that. And after that, the black and white, it was because it's not cold, but it's very minimalist, and it leaves all the place to the emotion, and also it's very contrasted, so it helps. I don't know how to say that, but to show that, for example, in a page, if Clara is wearing a lot of black and the drawing is just like line, it draws the attention to her, and that's something that I really think about a lot when I'm doing a comic. I'm always drawing the two pages next to each other, so I want to see how the composition of the page is, and then how the eyes of the reader is going to go through the page. And so that was very helpful, because it's a story about feelings that you're not fitting in also. And it was very helpful to have this art style I'm looking for the word souligner in French, in English, but I don't know to say that, like underline, I think. It's the like Clara, or at the contrary, sometimes it's her that is in very, it's very white, very clear, and the black area are like the other people, or like our surroundings. So yeah, that's kind of the way I was thinking about it, and I'm really happy. Of course, now it has like more than a year, and I'm like, no, I don't like the drawing on this page, but I'm kind of happy still with the composition and the choice I made.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, I think even if you say, who wouldn't, everyone looks back at any art they did, I think, and only sees things that would change. But then even if you change them, you would have wanted to change something else, years later. I don't think anyone's ever happy. I want to verge, because I really appreciate you doing this, taking the time as well, because having read the book, I know that you know all about this kind of stuff and putting it together, or if you don't, you did a wonderful job of showing that you know how it works in the book, with Clara's role, like doing essentially book launches and promotions, and B, because the characters in the book talk about how they don't necessarily love doing it. So does that come from your own? And which I understand, having done book launches for years and years, and now working at Bandcamp, understand the frustrations of the ups and downs. But is that from me? I mean, I also hate it's like people always want to turn everything autobio, but I'm just curious, because it felt so real, whether that does come from your life or something.
I think I think in the book launches there are good and bad stuff. You know, you work a lot for free, and then you sometimes are very tired. But I personally, I also like doing that because I don't, you know, maybe I think it's in North America, it's more like people love comics more than in maybe French. Even if, you know, it's a wonderful. I love the. I don't want to, you know, badmouth the French comics. But you know, people like the public is maybe less interested, and the media are less interested in comic books than in other stuff. So I really have the occasion to talk. I like talking about my book, of course. So you know, it's and sometimes there is like tiring part of that, but also I was, you know, all of my friends practically are in the book. If it's like, I have some friends that are in the poetry book. I don't know to say le milieu, like not area, but you know, book. They work in books, you know, like
sort of like the scene,
yeah, that's and or in comics or in literature or like So I also observe a lot, and you know, sometimes I take some of the discussion I have had with my friends, and sometimes it's very tiring. For example, I'm not, you know, she's I don't know to say, like she promotes book for a publisher. That's her day job, and you know, I'm not, and I've never done any stuff like that. I've put some of my experience at working behind the desk. You know, I worked in a social organization, but of course it's not my experience. It's also like the people I know who work for some, not even some publishing house, but you know, just like I based a lot of the work relationship on one of my friends who was a barista. So you know, it's not, and so but I like doing promotion. Sometimes it's bad because, you know, some like my book were about feminism subject, sometimes the journalist try to trick you, and it's not a good time. But you know, and I also have the most wonderful readers. Like I feel very privileged because I love meeting, you know, I know that it was because I think it's because I do work that resonate with them, and I'm very happy. But you know, I feel very privileged because meeting and I try to do, you know, when the author who is launching her book, she is happy, but it's not that she doesn't like to launch her book. It's more that it's very stressful. That's something, from someone suffering with anxiety, I must admit that it's very stressful to, you know, do public talks and stuff like that.
Well, again, just as someone seeing that, I was like, another example of the book just like wonderfully depicting reality. Like, so you did such a good job of like doing such an even-handed depiction of everything in the book and the characters. I'm going to ask the general question, and then I won't keep you too much longer because I know you're very busy promoting this book, finishing another one. But how did you come to release this book with Drawn Quarterly? The most generic question, I know.
No. That's actually, that's something that's interesting because I was firstly approached by Drawn Quarterly to do a didactic book about another feminist topic, and you know, it was I think I was doing the League of Super Feminists, but in French at the time, and I think I didn't want to do that anymore, but also I really wanted to be published by Drawn Quarterly, and I knew that I have a master's degree in sociology and feminist studies, so it was always a thing that, but I'm qualified to do that. Why don't I want to do? Because I always wanted to do fiction, but so that was like the first contact I had with them, and I just I think maybe it took 1 year for me to say, actually, I'm not gonna do that because I always was working on something else. And then when it was time to work on this book, actually, that's when I proposed This Is How I Disappeared to my French publisher. And because I it's not like it was a very nice contact and stuff like that, but I just wanted to do fiction. But my French publisher, they try to sell the right of their book, and they bought the right from a book from Drawn and Quarterly. I don't remember the name, but and then they sold the right from the League of Super Feminists. It was kind of a, and since I had already a contact with them, maybe it was more they already knew my work. But yeah, so that was and then after that they propose. I don't know if propose is the same as, but they proposed This Is How I Disappear, and I was very happy. Like it was it really. I was very happy with the League of Super Feminists, of course, and I love the English edition. I think it's so pretty with a yellow cover and stuff like that. But my goal, I must admit, was really to sell my fiction to Drawn and Quarterly, and I really wanted to, because I think it's two different scenes, like the French and francophone scene, like French speaking scene and English speaking scene in North America. And it was always something that I wanted to do, to be a fiction author here, because it's not the same thing. It's just not the same experience and the same people that are reading the books. And so that's that's how it went, and I'm very happy. And I hope I secretly hope that my next book is also going to be published at Drawn and Quarterly in English.
Well, I won't lead them into anything, but I would as well, because this one, it was such a wonderful book and so great to have it and to be able to read it, because my French is lacking.
No.
Oh no, it's horrible. It's such a wonderful, absolutely wonderful book, and that always sounds like hot air, but really just like it struck me so much, and so I was really excited to have you here as part of this. And
thank you.
I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited that you could take the time to talk to me, and thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really such a nice exchange and such nice question. Nice is like it seems like, but great question, and I was very happy. And I hope that my point was not lost in translation, because
It's great. So This Is How It Disappears out now from Drawn and Quarterly. You can pick it up, and thank you so much, Mirion Malle, for being part of the BC Festival, part of the Vancouver Comic Con Festival. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.